Welcome back, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to be doing the oldest whiskey I've reviewed on this channel, Talisker 30-year-old.
And I'm here to mooch.
As you can see, I have my good friend Keith from the Malted Man Cave here. Not a stranger to my channel, third or fourth time we've done a review together, my friend, and I asked you to come here to review this whiskey with me because...
And I happily came.
Happily.
I love drinking your whiskeys.
Love it. Talisker 30. For those of you who aren't familiar with Talisker, it's on the island, or Isle, as they say, of Skye. I think there's only one distillery on the island.
I think actually that was true for a while. I think there is one either in production. I think it's either just started production or it's still being built.
All right.
Because I said that and someone corrected me.
Well, we appreciate the Whiskey Fabric making sure that we're up to date on all the latest as far as distilleries.
No matter, you could be a freaking master distiller like Jim McEwen and not know every single thing there has to do with it. You know what I mean?
Oh, a lot going on.
Because things change. Like 2 weeks from now, they could start building another distillery. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's impossible.
The only thing for sure is that there's going to be change. There's going to be change. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this Talisker 30. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about the distillery. They make basically 4 age statement whiskeys on a regular or semi-regular basis. You have the 10-year-old, the 18-year-old, which comes out in batches every year, and then the 25 and the 30, which comes out every 3, 4, 5 years. This particular batch is the 2017 batch, and all of the Taliskers that have age statements are all at 45.8% ABV. This particular bottle is bottle 715 of the 1128 that they made for the year of 2017. And Keith, as you saw today, I have 2. One to share.
Greedy.
And one to keep. Just kidding. Got a great deal on them, so fortunately I was able to get my hands.
For that much.
Got them for $300, $2.99. Had to pay the shipping. But
for a 30-year-old whiskey, that is fantastic.
For a 30-year-old Talisker. Those of you who make it to the end of the video, I might name drop where I got it from. You never know. Stick around to the end. If you fast forward, you're a cheater. Okay, so what do you know about Talisker? Tell us a little bit about it. What's your experience?
For me, there's a lot of different Isle of whiskeys, a lot of different, whiskeys in the world from Scotland especially that have that saltiness, especially if it's, it's got peat in there, if the barley was dried using peat, or whether it's just a distillery that is close to the coastline.
Yeah.
You get some of that. I don't think you get quite as much, from the environment like they act like you do, but I do think there's some. You get some of that saltiness. But for me, out of all the distilleries, Talisker is the most salty out of all of them for me, especially the 10-year-old. Well, I don't get it quite as strong in this because it's aged out and smoothed out probably a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Talisker 10 is the most salty dram I've ever drank.
Also buttery.
It's almost like, and I know this maybe even sounds bad, but like like if you get like little sores, sometimes you like use salt water to clean out your mouth.
I don't know what kind of girls you've been dating.
Got lots of herpes.
Thank God your wife doesn't watch my channel. I'm just kidding, of course. But yes, you get the maritime characteristics to it. And as they say on the label,
come here,
made by the sea. I don't know if that's made by the sea, like Poseidon, or just by it. I'm thinking B.
Yeah. I'm
thinking B. So we're kind of dragging this out a little bit because Keith and I had a couple of sips on this before we did this review, and this whiskey takes a little time to open up. It is a 30-year-old whiskey.
Yeah, when you first poured, I was like, this is good.
And as it went.
But then as it opened up 10, 15 minutes later, it was wow.
Then it got incredible. All right, so let me give you some basics. It's not natural color from what I've been able to find. Like all Taliskers, they color the whiskey. So it's a very consistent color, the other ones. Now I will say this, the lines on this one, you can tell it's an older whiskey because they're so thick and oily and they come down with just obvious viscosity on the side of the glass. All right, my friend, we chat a lot about the details. Let's get into it.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend. What are you picking up on the nose?
So I've had a couple of older Ben Renes and older Kleinlich, and a lot of them have this, like it's like vanilla candle wax, but then cucumber water. I got this on the Compass Box Enlightenment, which had some Kleinlich in it, and then I've had some other just, I don't know, it's vanilla and cucumbers salty cucumbers. I get. It's like, do you remember when we were kids the candy cigarettes? The chalk ones. It's like chalky.
And then right at the end, there was like red.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was mainly
something
white.
about the sweetness in this reminds me of that chalky, sugary taste.
Well, I tell you what. With Taliskers, I've had the 25. It was good whiskey. I've had the 18, very good whiskey. I brought you that in whiskey review something. I'll put it right here. And then I also have done the 10. But of the three, I'll say this is the most fruit forward of all of them by a good margin. I mean, I'm picking up a lot of figs, dates, pears, peach, saltiness,
Definitely
griminess.
the pears, I think, is the strongest fruit for me. I think I get the pears the most.
Definitely pears. And again, very, I mean, a little bit of that dough characteristic too. Mm-hmm. Very, very fresh dough.
And the waxiness, like I said, that kind of reminds me of Klein Leash a little bit. A little bit.
I think when we were drinking this earlier, would you compare it to a Fig Newton?
Yeah, there's some Fig Newton.
Some fresh pastry on this one, and the fruit inside, just very fruity for something that's very maritime and coastal, usually, especially in the 10-year-old, and even in the 18 and the 25.
It also has this pleasant oakiness. Sometimes older whiskeys can get too oaked.
Sure.
But this is like the perfect, like you can tell it's been aged for a long time and been rounded out with some wood, but it's not like so dryingly bitter wood like you're biting on driftwood or something. This is perfect.
This is
perfect amount of oak.
Yeah, this is a beautiful smell. And along with a little bit of smokiness, there's that wood smoke too that you get with older whiskeys, 25, 30, 35-year-old whiskeys. And just it's so approachable too. I mean, this isn't high ABV, but 45.8, it's not nothing. So I believe it is unchill filtered, it's just colored.
A little bit of pepper and salt.
There is something spicy in there. White pepper, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Definitely peppery. Maybe a little cinnamon, just a touch. Not very much. Maybe it's the pepper, but something almost.
It's a little hot, a little aggressive type spice. But
maybe even
a nut. See, I'm getting a little bit of nutmeg, just like a subtle nutmeg kind of behind it.
100%.
Yeah, there's so
almost
much
like a mixture. Like when I have applesauce, I put cinnamon and nutmeg in it, and it tastes like cinnamon and nutmeg. Maybe even with a little bit of applesauce.
And now it's that time in the glass. I'm getting that. What for me is a very traditional Talisker smell. It's kind of buttery, creamy smell. Hopefully, it's there on the palate as well. All right, I'm gonna take a sip.
I already did, but I'll take my second. I like the experience better when I nose it and taste it at the same time. I feel like it enhances the experience for me.
Whatever way you want to drink your whiskey, that's for not only Keith, but everyone out there. Do it. However you enjoy it is the way you should be consuming the alcohol. A little bit?
Mm-hmm. We're good.
Okay. So on the palate, a lot of those fruit notes are there. I am getting that normal Talisker salt and butter, buttery popcorn.
Yeah.
From that Talisker. I would say the fruit is definitely a plum and a pear. Like a plum is a darker fruit, like stone fruits in general. Plums, pears, maybe
even black cherries a little bit, slightly, just barely in the background. Black cherries.
You hit on something I was missing. I was trying to put my finger on. And when I said plum, what I really think it is berries.
Yeah.
It's like a red berry of some kind. Now we threw a little bit of water in this thing just to kind of speed up the process as far as opening up, because what I would like to do is sit here for 30 minutes and let it open up. But I like to pour in front of everybody. I just think it's transparency.
Yeah.
I like to pour it in front of everyone. Not that I try to pull wool over your eyes or anything, but I think people like to see the whiskey going into the glass.
I agree.
And by the way, I will say, beautiful bottle here.
Yeah.
I love just the simple label here and the etched in Island of Skye.
Sometimes
that 30 years.
less is more, and that works. Like it's nice and simplistic, but still classy.
Feels very classy, doesn't it? Along with the packaging, the salmon colored packaging.
Salmon.
That we had here on the box.
So again, on the palate, I get, like you said, pears. For me, the berries, especially black cherry. I get a black cherry note. There's a little bit of the oak.
And have you ever had Black Forest cake? Is that how you say that? No, wait a second. You get like a dark cake. It was made like devil's food or something like that.
Yeah.
It had some like dark topping on it of some kind. Black Forest.
You know what I'm getting now?
Black Forest cake?
Have you
Tell
ever
me
had, like,
I'm wrong?
you know when you get like the specialty chocolates?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like the assorted mix
Yeah,
of different
yeah.
types. So you have like caramels. This is like, you know, like the chocolate, dark chocolate that has like pink in the middle?
Yes. Yeah, I don't like that candy, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Like a very refined,
Is that
sugary
supposed to be
version.
cherry or is that supposed to be raspberry? What?
I think it's raspberry, if I'm not mistaken. And you're right, it's some type of red berry like that.
Yeah.
You said black cherry. I think it's like a raspberry with just like milk chocolate on top of it.
On the palate, I don't really get chocolate, but on the palate, I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, on the nose, I don't get the chocolatey, but
On the palate,
on the
you do?
palate, I do.
This is a dark chocolate. And again, with those berry notes. God, it's so nice.
Again, I get like vanilla candle wax almost,
Mm-hmm.
cucumbers. Again, for me, I really get cucumbers. It reminds me of, again, Ben Rene's or Klein Leash.
You know, when you said vanilla, I don't know why I overlook vanilla so much. It is
It's
so obvious.
It happens.
You know, because you give some of that bourbon cast, but I believe there is some sherry maturation in these 30-year-olds as well.
Well, even when you get like a complete sherry bomb, something that has like, you know, it's been aged in first fill sherry, it still gets, there's some vanillins even in the oak that holds that. So you
sure.
still even get some of the vanilla notes.
It's a very common spice.
Yeah.
And it goes so well with everything, but I tend to overlook it.
Yeah, same.
But you're right. Candied sugary vanilla on the nose.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it just keeps getting better. Like the longer I drag this out, as far as...
Do you get the chalkiness? Like the chalky, like this candy cigarettes that we talked about? Do you get that at all?
You were saying that candy cigarettes, and that's the first thing I said was like, you know, those are a little powdery. Where I don't get a ton of powdery, but I think we're saying the same thing when I say fresh dough.
Yeah.
We're in the same
Fresh dough.
ballpark. So with water, did the palate change at all?
I think just the water and the time that it's been in the glass, it gets really special after a while.
Oh, it's a good whiskey.
Compared to, I mean, out of a lot of older whiskeys I've had, this one is the one that has improved the most just with time in the glass.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
It takes
how
a minute.
much better it gets with time in the glass.
It definitely takes a minute to unravel, and I just still just amazed how thick the legs are on this, even when you add water. I mean, they're really just oily, and you think something, you know, just a little bit less than 46% ABV, it wouldn't hold that much heft as far as like the oils and how dense the whiskey is, but it really is a dense whiskey.
Yeah, it is.
And unlike really any Talisker I had, I really can't compare this to something else. It's similar to the 18 in a few ways, but not as... And it has the berries and the vanilla like the 18 does, but man, the refinement on this is just so elegant. The smoke is just so nice.
Thanks for sharing.
Oh, dude, anytime. I told Keith when I got these bottles I was going to hold off on doing the review until he had some time to come do it with me because there's so much going on with this Talisker 30-year-old. And a 30-year-old whiskey is not something that I bring to you guys, well, ever, until now. The oldest before was that 25-year-old Balvenie single barrel, which was technically 28 years old.
Yeah.
So this is definitely the oldest whiskey, and I wanted to give you guys a couple different perspectives, not only mine, but another person who has a strong knack
And I'm
for
thankful
smell and taste.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming, brother. All right, so I'm gonna take my last sip now that I had a little bit of time to let it sit here with the water. And give me your last thoughts on the whiskey.
The finish, so for me, the finish is medium. I think if it was a higher ABV, I'm not sure, you know, because of the oiliness, it almost, part of me is like, did they not chill filter it? But then Diageo, unfortunately, there's a lot of other distilleries they do.
I believe it's not show filtered.
It tastes,
I could be wrong.
to me, it kind of tastes like it's not, but I could be wrong.
You know it's colored.
Yeah.
You know it's
So we
definitely
have to
colored.
unfortunately assume that probably they did the other thing too, but
It's Diageo.
it's a medium finish. It's a really pleasant finish. You get a little of that oak, cucumber water, vanilla, the berries that we talked about, maybe the raspberry or cherry, pink filled chocolates, assorted chocolates you get.
Raspberry with chocolate on top, chocolate cake on top. Oh, it's just a dessert. It's such a treat
This is delicious.
on the palate and
This
the
is
nose.
better than I thought it was going to be.
I told you I was really impressed with it. I know you thought, well, I'm overselling it. But then I bought a second bottle. I think you knew how serious I was about this.
No, it's good.
So, buddy, whiskey score. What are you thinking?
It's definitely over a 90, and I'm thinking probably
I'm going 92 out of 100.
I was going 91.
And 91, 92.
But
I think
but
92.
Before you rudely interrupted me, I was gonna say 91 or 92.
It is.
It's closer to 92.
Well, I just gave the Ardbeg 23 a 92. And I think while a different whiskey is right on par with it as far as the complexity, because just like that Ardbeg 23, did I say 22 earlier? It was Ardbeg 23. Whiskey Review 142. Just with that whiskey, this just keeps evolving and changing. And that's when you know you got something special.
Yeah. It's 92. You talked me into it.
Good.
It's amazing.
Good. I'm glad to see you're sticking your guns there. Cheers,
I always
bro.
went for peer pressure.
Well, hey,
and you don't need much peer pressure into giving this a good score, because this is fantastic. I mean, this could almost be a 93. If this was at cast strength, I'd probably give it a 93 or 94.
They used to be.
Yeah.
I think 09 was the last year they released them. They were cast strength, but the 2012 version of the 25 and 30 were not cast strength. And in this 2017 version of both of them are also not cast strength. Now, I did promise everybody that if you made it to the end of my video, I would tell you where I got it. So I did get this bottle for $299 at Ace Spirits. So check those guys out. I don't know how shipping will work to your particular state, but great price on some Taliskers. I let a couple of my other buddies know after I bought my second bottle of this Talisker 30. I was keeping it under wraps until then.
Ace Spirits, you say?
AceSpirits.com. They're up in Minnesota, I believe, Minneapolis. So guys, told you what it was. Made it to the end of the video, or if you scrolled forward, cheaters, you now know where to go get it. Again, it's $2.99 there, $2.50 for the 25-year-old. So if you want to try an older Talisker, and it's really expensive in your state, like it is here in Ohio, $800. It's a great way to get your hand on an old whiskey at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
$10 for every year in the cask.
That's
Bang.
Yeah, this if you're gonna get an older whiskey and you're afraid and you don't have the money, if this is the one to save up for, because this is delicious and it's not crazy expensive. Glenfarclas 25, and I would even put this, now that I've had it, are two of the best older whiskeys for the price.
For the money. Oh, without a doubt. Well, look at it this way. Here locally in town, Macallan 18 costs $300. And I'd take this bottle over Macallan 18 any day.
Yeah.
It's a much better whiskey. Or a rare cask, or any of those other ones. But anyway, I want to thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Keith, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
See you in the comment section. Until then, I wish you happy drinking.
Happy drinking.